I'm Rana Shahbaz, and I'm really excited to have Denise Wakeman with me from denisewakeman.com. Denise is a known social media marketing expert who is helping businesses to get more visibility on the internet to generate more business. Hello, Denise. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
I'm very happy to be here. Let's talk.
Denise, talk to me a bit more about you and how do you help businesses to get more online visibility?
Well, I've been using the web, the internet, as a marketing tool since about 1996. And I've had a few different businesses in that time. But now what I do is I work primarily with service professionals, coaches, consultants, authors, speakers, um, doctors, lawyers, solo service professionals. I work with them to help them leverage the internet to grow their business. So by that, I mean building their visibility, building a foundation, using blogging and social networking tools. So typically it's about helping them uh, build a list so that they have a community of people that they can work with and consistently creating content that will help them get found by their ideal client.
Excellent. Do you think businesses have option to do social media?
Do I think they have an option to do social media? Not anymore. No, I don't. I think that social media has become a marketing tool that must be incorporated into any business's toolbox, if you will. You can't ignore it because the vast majority of you know people, your ideal client are probably using social media, especially Facebook, for example. I mean, it's something like 800 million people are using Facebook now around the world. So it's a
Exactly.
good chance that your target client is using Facebook too.
How do you define blog from a business point of view?
Okay, well, in the olden days when I started blogging in 2004, a blog was considered an online diary, and technically it was about publishing content in reverse chronological order, and it was, a site on the web. Now, the way I talk about a blog for business purposes is that it's the hub, it's your home base, it's where you create your point of distinction on the web. And that's where you want to drive all of your interactions, because you can be on social networking sites like Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube. All those sites are important to be active on, but those are sites where you're having more superficial conversations, if you will. You can't really go as deep necessarily. You can get to know people, chit chat, but ultimately you want to invite them home to your foundation, and your blog is that foundation, because that's where you can really go deep. It's where you can create your distinction. It's where you can have the conversations where people can really get to know you. And that's also where a lot of your conversion can happen. It's where you can move people to action, move them onto your email list, for example, if you have an email newsletter or if you're offering free reports, because ultimately you want people to be on some kind of a list so that you can continue to follow up with them, whether it's getting new blog updates, whether it's getting information, free reports or an e-course or something like that, so that you're delivering value constantly and you continually are creating a relationship. You're building that rapport with them over and over and over again, so that there's no question that you're top of mind when they finally get to the point where they need what it is you offer that solves their problem.
Excellent. Excellent. Would you like to define a difference between a blog and a website? Many people probably still confused about difference between a blog and a website.
Okay, well, a blog, the bottom line of blog is a website.
Yeah.
It's just built a little bit differently than what a traditional website, how a traditional website was built. Traditionally, websites were built using HTML, and they were static. And if you didn't have that skill, which most people don't, you had to hire a web designer and probably pay a lot of money for it. And you were, pretty much at the held at the whim of the web designer. If you needed to change a sentence or word, you had to, wait for them to be available to do it. Well, blogs, it's a different software that you can use and install on a domain. I don't want to get too techy on this, but essentially, you go on the web, log into a dashboard, and you can update content as if you're writing a Word doc, and it's immediately published on the web. So it's a much easier way to build a site, and it's a much easier and efficient way to
maintain and update.
Content.
Yeah, maintain and update is easy, quite easy.
Absolutely. You can do it yourself once you know how to do it. It's not difficult.
Exactly. Why blog is one of the most important part of your social media strategy?
Well, as I've kind of alluded to, I really look at it as the home base of your business. It's where you create, it's where you really create the depth of the experience with you. Because, on Twitter you have 140 characters. On Facebook you have, maybe 400 characters, although I think they've changed that. But, that content also, you don't, or you own your content, but you don't own those sites. You have no control whatsoever over what happens on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and YouTube and all those other sites. You are at their mercy. And if you know anything about Facebook, they're changing it all the time. It's hard to keep up. But your blog is yours. It's your own virtual real estate. And you can protect it. You can do what you want with it. You can use it however you want. And that's the most important thing. So that's why I really strongly advocate that while you're connecting with people and meeting people, like at a cocktail party or a cafe on the social networking sites, you always want to eventually bring them home. Invite them over for lunch. Invite them over for a party. Whatever it is, you want to bring them home because that's your own real estate. And that's where you want to keep them as much as possible.
Okay, let's say I have a blog now. So what can I do with the blogs to get more customers?
To get more customers?
Yeah.
Well, everything you do on your blog should be directed towards that. So when you are creating content, you want to be consistently and constantly, I say, not every once in a while, but pretty constantly, creating content that helps people learn what you do. So, there's a lot of ways to monetize a blog, for example. So there's indirect and direct. So indirect would be, writing about your expertise, demonstrating how you solve problems for your ideal client. And then eventually they raise their hand and say, okay, I want to work with you. And then there's direct ways where you can be selling affiliate products and advertising and sponsorships and that sort of thing. However, on a business blog that is really there to enhance your authority, your dominance of the niche that you're an expert in, let's say, which is really where my focus is. I don't do the other kind of selling, really.
Yep.
I mean, I do some affiliate. I promote some affiliate products, but mostly it's about working with people to attract clients to their business, service, or products. So everything that you write needs to somehow demonstrate that you can solve a problem for somebody. And then creating the call to action for somebody to take the next step. And this is something I see is missing from a lot of blogs. There's no call to action. You get to the end of an article, it was a great article, and there's no request to do more. There's no next step. There's no sign up to get 7 more tips. There's no, hey, contact me for a free strategy session.
Exactly.
There's no, join me on a teleseminar. And so there's a lot of lost opportunity there, I think. And that's one thing I see, if I could just recommend to everybody who's using a blog for their business, create some kind of call to action. Even if it's just for further engagement, for them to actually comment or share the post, that's taking them one more step. It's one more step that they have become interactive with you.
Yeah,
and
people
that gets them
need
one step closer.
Yeah, people need constant reminders that they are too busy to do themselves. Yeah, so you have to
That's right.
keep
They're
them
not
reminded.
thinking about it.
Yep,
They don't know what you want them to do. You have to
exactly.
tell them. Even if it seems really obvious to you, you
Yep,
need to tell them what to do.
exactly. As a small business owner, what is the first step should I take to start blogging?
Well, I always advise that the first step is to figure out why you want to have a blog. Of course, I think that you should, but why? What do you want it to do for you? Is it going to be lead generation? I work with a lot of authors, and so many authors want a blog to either develop their content, because it's a great way to actually develop the content for a book or to promote their book. So that's one reason. Is it to build your community? So be clear on why you want to do this, and then figure out what outcome you want. What do you want people to do? Because that's going to help guide the content that you write and those calls to action. And I would also recommend, and this is all before you ever set up the blog. I mean, these are important things to do before you set up a blog.
Exactly.
The next thing that I would recommend is to start to look at other blogs in the niche that you want to focus on. So what are other people writing about? Who's writing? Who's popular? What do their blogs look like? What kind of content are they writing? How frequently are they writing? And also start building relationships with those bloggers. Start reading them consistently. Comment on their articles if it's appropriate, because you also want to start becoming part of the blogging community, or the blogosphere as it's called. So that's where I would start before I even set up a blog.
Excellent. Where can folks find more about you and connect with you?
Well, my primary site is denisewakeman.com, and I also have a blog that is devoted only to blogging. So if you want to learn all about business blogging, you can go to buildabetterblog.com, and you'll find connections to me, to all my social networking. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube, but all those connections you'll find on those two sites, denisewakeman.com and buildabetterblog.com.
Thank you so much, Denise. It's been a pleasure to have you here, and I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate it.